Well, speaking of bringing fighting games to the iiRcade, I know that there's some games that if I could pick some fighting games that I would like to see on the system. Obviously, we all want Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. You know, the big ones, right? But if I could pick a few games that I want to be on, I know that I've got some kind of more obscure ones, and what we all kind of did this week is we decided, okay, let's all pick like 3 games that we would like to see personally, fighting games specifically on the iiRcade, and we just made a little clip, and then we can talk about them. So I think we should show those. Who wants to go first? Who do you got queued up first, Mikey?
CT's going.
It's time for CT Chase's 3 picks for fighting games for the iiRcade. My first pick, of course, is Virtua Fighter 2. It's released in the arcade in 1994. This game was a bad game. Bad meaning good. This game was nice. Everything was sharp about it. I remember when it first came out. I thought it was revolutionary. And at the time it was. The combos was nice. The replay, that's the thing that I love the most. Look at that. It'll fall on his head. That shit was funny. A nice game to have on the iiRcade. Second game I picked, Rival Schools. This came out in 1997. It did have an arcade release. This game in itself was amazing. The combos, all that. Kind of a mix of, some Capcom with some 3D graphics, just a whole bunch of nonsense going on. Look at that. Combos and duking from the air. Above and below, I like this game a lot. I wish I would see something like this on the iiRcade. I believe the system can handle it. Look at that! This is something I need. Oh, all the times, all the hours I put on that. Last but not least, one of my favorite fighters of all time, Power Stone 2, released in 2000. I love this game on the Dreamcast. Not only was it a multiplayer fighter, but it had other levels of that, boss levels in it. So everybody's gotta put their differences aside and put that work in. Then you go back to levels where y'all fight each other, find the magic chaos emeralds, power yourself up, and lay that whooping down. This game would be nice for online play. Oh my goodness. And it mixes it up again on the different types of cross-platform levels. This game was amazing. All types of different items. Whatever you want, this game had it. You can craft items. Then you got boss fights. Yes, this is something I need for the iiRcade. Any of these releases and I would be happy. Let's hope for the best, folks.
Oh, yeah. Some good ones there.
Wow, those are good picks. So good that Prince Malcolm's house is on fire.
I know.
Look at that comment.
I saw that.
Look how many flames he's getting.
That's the truth.
A lot of fire.
This is the truth.
That's a lot of fire.
That last one kind of looks to me like Bomb Squad meets Smash Brothers. Is that kind of what it's like?
Power Stone is amazing.
I've never played that, but that looks freaking cool.
It's the best one of the best fighting games I ever played.
Great.
And I want to put my 2 cents in on Virtua Fighter since CT kindly brought that to all of our attention. As the show progresses, you guys might find a little trend that I can go off the beaten path for some of the more mainstream, retro game fans out there. And it started with the Sega Saturn. I was one of those weird kids that got the Sega Saturn instead of the PlayStation, and I don't regret it. I loved that thing, and I still would rather play that than the PlayStation 1. Kill me. I don't care.
All right.
But having said that, Virtua Fighter, Daytona, all those games, I fell in love with them because of the Sega Saturn. And yeah, give us Virtua Fighter 2, 3, 4.
It's
Any
tough.
one of them, guys.
It's tough to just pick 3, too.
Yeah.
You ready to roll my 3?
Yeah, now it's time for Papa Brad.
Sure.
My 3 games I chose.
Okay.
Okay, this is Papa Brad's wish list for games that are fighting games that I would love to see ported to iiRcade. The very top of my list is one of the greatest fighting games of all time, I think, Soul Calibur. This is a Dreamcast version. I mean, this game has 3D fighting with weapons. It's just a blast to play. I've always liked this game, and this would be my first choice for a AAA title to come to iiRcade. If they can ever get this, this would be magical. I mean, even just putting this game in my Dreamcast and just playing it to get footage, I had to play the game all the way to the end, because once I got started, I mean, it's like buttery popcorn. You can't put this game down. This game is fantastic. This is a home run. For fighters, this is a great game. Has universal appeal, too. My second choice for a game I would love to see on the iiRcade is Dead or Alive 2. It's just another 3D fighter, and 3D fighters are something that I really want to see on the more powerful iiRcade hardware. I want to see what it's capable of. I want to see some 3D fighters on there. And this is a fun one. It's kind of an older game, but it still plays great. The graphics are still really fun. I mean, come on, it's got Kasumi. I mean, how can you not love this game? This game, I still play it. I like it. It's a great game. Kind of a guilty pleasure, but I would pick DOA to be a game that I would love to see come to iiRcade. Dead or Alive is a game that is not really going to come probably to an arcade one-up, and it was an arcade game. I think it would be a cool fit for iiRcade, so that's why it made my list. So, Dead or Alive. This is Dead or Alive 2, but there are a ton of different versions. DOA 2 was my favorite arcade DOA, though. So if I was to pick just one, DOA 2 would be my pick.
Get ready,
And this game would definitely be on my list. This is my favorite Capcom fighting game. This is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's a 3-on-3 fighting game. You get to pick 3 fighters. They have tons of Marvel characters. This game, I just love everything about this game. It has infinite replay value. I mean, this is just, for me, this is my favorite fighter of all time. Every time I see this at arcade, I like to play it. If I'm playing by myself, I can get all the way to the end and beat the game. It's just a fun game. And as far as competitive, player versus player, this is just a great game. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at the top of my list.
Open up for now.
We can all hope and dream, right?
Never gonna happen.
Okay, to be fair, you said pick 3 fighting games that you really like. To be fair, that was the question.
Those were some heavy hitters, Brad. Those were some heavy hitters.
Yeah, to me, the last one is my ultimate, my dream to have at home. So there you go.
Yeah, I think we can all safely say that we can all dream about that one, but the reality on that one is probably, I don't want to be pessimist, but that's a tough license to get there.
Yeah.
So
Soul
you never know.
Dead or Alive.
Anything
though.
is possible, right? Isn't that
anything
what John
is
says?
possible on Fightcade. On Fightcade. anything's possible.
What show is this?
Wait,
The TheiiRcadians.
Sorry, oops. Freudian slip.
Oh man, no, some good hits there. We're gonna get you in trouble with Val though. What does Val think about that Dead or Alive pick?
I don't know.
Keep dreaming.
I want to see what you got, Jeff. Let's do Jeff next.
I got some pretty obscure ones. All right, play mine. We'll see what I got. All right, so my first pick is a game that I had for PlayStation 1 called Soul Blade. Now, this actually came out in the arcades as Soul Edge in 1995. It was later ported to the PlayStation 1 and changed the name to Soul Blade in 1996. This was supposed to be the first in the line of the Soul Calibur series of games which came later, but this was the coolest game to me because you just got to have these big, giant weapons, and it just played so much fun. I love this game. I love this one. Okay, so my second pick, guys, is actually a boxing game from 1991 called 4D Sports Boxing. It was part of a 4D Sports series of games. This was made from like a polygon-based graphics. What was cool about this is it used motion capture, so it was one of the first head-to-head fighting games, but it used this motion capture to make it very realistic. Had a couple of different views that you could fight from. It also had, for one of the first times, this level of character creation. And it also allowed you to kind of pick which attributes you wanted to improve between fights. Like, do you want to improve your speed, your power, your stamina? And then there was different tactics you could employ when you're fighting, like dodging and counterattacking or going all out. It was definitely unique for its time. And it was just a blast to play, and I've got a lot of nostalgia. I put many hours into this game, actually, back in the early 90s. 4D Sports Boxing is one that I think would be really fun. I would get a kick out of having this on the iiRcade for sure. And then for my third and final pick, of course, we have to go with Sailor Moon, the fighting game, because it's Sailor Moon. What? Don't judge me. You can't tell me you don't want to play this game. There you go. Yeah, Prince Malcolm was actually pointing out the Soul Edge earlier.
A little bit of a gap there. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 versus Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Well, so Prince Malcolm mentioned Soul Edge, and just to clarify that, Soul Edge was the arcade game. It was ported to PlayStation 1, and it was the they made some changes, added a little bit more complexity to it, changed the name to Soul Blade, and it was Soul Calibur came out after that in that same line, in that same series of games, but it was part of that series, yeah. But so, yeah, come on, Sailor Moon, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't actually played that, to be fair.
It
looks cool.
I like the beat 'em up. The beat 'em up is great.
Beat 'em up is good.
Pretty
too.
Soldier Sailor Moon's a great beat 'em up.
Yeah, but if they can get the license to that, might as well get them all, in my opinion.
Has anyone else besides me, I want to know in the chat, has anyone actually played 4D Sports Boxing besides me? Because I played the heck out of that game in the early 90s. I'm just saying, like, I loved that game.
What I was saying, I said this to Jeff earlier in our iiRcade Illuminati chat, that I used to play centering boxing on the Sega Saturn, and that was similar to the 4D boxing, just a little bit newer and better graphics, but still all polygons, and the way they throw their punches was very similar. And yeah, I see people in the chat talking PS1 is better and stuff, but no. And I was also a Dreamcast guy too, so I'm Sega all the way. So
stop throwing subliminal messages.
Is that what's that? It's not me. I'm not touching it. Maybe it's like Michael. Michael's doing that. He's controlling our chat.
I know.
All right, you guys want to see my picks now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
The fighting game guru of the group. Let's see what his thoughts are.
First up, we have the story of Terry Bogard, and that is, of course, Fatal Fury. And the particular game that I am choosing for my list will not be the first game, but instead Real Bout 2. It is my actual favorite game of the actual Fatal Fury franchise. It's the perfect mix of what makes the Fatal Fury games great. And Fatal Fury has just a great story overall, and that bleeds into the King of Fighters franchise as well. And then next up we have, of course, the King of Fighters. I had to include it. And 98, as I'm showing you here, is my personal favorite, but I would be perfectly happy with getting 97, 98, 2000, 2002, or even one of the more modern titles like King of Fighters 15, wink wink, that just got released. But these games have an amazing collection of fighters. You can't ask for much more out of a fighting game than you get out of the King of Fighters franchise. And then my final one, I have Double Dragon. This game was released on the Neo Geo MVS back in 1995, and it is actually a really... Well, I'm not going to say it is an amazing fighting game by any stretch of the imagination. Being that iiRcade has the license to Double Dragon, they might as well go and get this one, because it's a pretty good fighter. It'd be a good addition on the iiRcade.
That game looked hot.
Awesome.
My man took a big old breath and got husky and stuff. You seen that?
Yeah, well, that was a Bobo. And if I know, like CT asked me about this earlier about like, isn't Rage of the Dragons technically a Double Dragon fighting game? And I thought it'd be good to kind of clarify that for everybody real quick, that when they were making that game, they intended it to be a sequel to that Double Dragon game that I just showed you guys. And they were all the way through making it. And then right at the end of the deal, they lost the license to the Double Dragon, IP. And so they released the game as, kind of quote unquote sequel, but it's not really. Instead of Jimmy and Billy Lee, it's Jimmy and Billy Lewis. And instead of a Bobo, it's like a Boobo or something like that. But it's essentially the same characters. And Rage of the Dragons is the far superior game to the Double Dragon one I showed you. And not only that, but I would say I'm debating whether I like Rage of the Dragons or Breakers better, guys. I like both of them a lot.
Well, I want to look through some of these comments because some people have been putting some of their stuff in here too. Like, Prince Malcolm said, Skullgirls. I'm surprised none of us picked that one. That one looks pretty cool. I haven't played it, but it looks great. Nobody said Eternal Champions, Fighting Herds,
Big
World
shout
Heroes.
out to,
I mean, I guess you got to narrow it down, right?
Right. There's so many games, so many great fighting games.
I thought CT Jason was going to have Clay Fighter, one of the Clay Fighters on there because.
I thought about it, but nah. There's a lot more better games.
That'd have been in the top 5, maybe, or 6.
Top 6.
Top 6. Okay.
Clay Fighter 2. Good game.
What was the one that Mad Dads was asking? Was saying up there? Ready to Rumble.
Ready to Rumble.
Yeah, that would be.
Ready to Rumble was great.
That was great.
Is that a good? Is that a good?
That fit perfectly on our arcade cab.
That would be an amazing addition. Absolutely.
So I think what this just points out is it's not just about Midway and Capcom. There are other developers out there that have some really good fighting games.
It's a big ocean. There's tons of games. There's games that nobody's going to do too. I mean,
and I'm being honest. I think the fighting games is probably one of the weaker genres on the iiRcade.
Definitely, the weakest genre.
It's got a lot of room for improvement there.
The shooters and the shmups is the strongest, in my opinion. As a shmup cab, the iiRcade is the best cab. Yeah.
So,
but there are definitely places that they can go, like you were saying, and in the theory of shock and awe for everybody, get ready. I'm going to go on record again, especially since King of Fighters 15 just came out and, come on guys, if it can run it, we should get it. That would be too sweet. Steal the NWO little line there.
And maybe we have an announcement that we can do here on the show. Maybe we have a game launch with a one more thing. Does anybody have any Starburst? I'm just kidding.
We don't. We don't have any of those powers. Jeff Tekken belonged in there too, but we really couldn't pick as many games as we wanted to. But Tekken belongs in that short list too.
Well,
Ryu Toshinden was a good game. I seen TMNT Tournament Fighters in the chat. Ranger said that. That's a good game too.
Yeah. I just want to clarify that the Double Dragon game wouldn't be my third pick if I could pick any game. Obviously, I feel like that one would be a doable one for arcade or iiRcade to pull off. So, let's do it.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, we got the iiRcadians merch store. If you want to take a little piece of the show with you, you can get it right here. Enjoy.